Grab the duct tape and mentally prepare yourself for yet another mind-expanding knowledge bomb from America's #1 business coach, Clay Clark.
That's it. Bombs away.
All right, guys, we're talking on this segment about the importance of embracing this harsh truth. All right? There's no excuse. The centric people always just lose. Well, what does it mean to be centric? Centric is like the median. It's the average. Eccentric means unconventional, slightly strange. Maybe somebody who is displaying a disproportional amount of interest or focus in one thing. Napoleon Hill, the best-selling author, writes about the importance of having a white-hot, burning desire for your definite chief aim. Some people call it a magnificent obsession. But you have to be obsessed and enthusiastic about something at a level that doesn't make sense for most people. Most people don't have an abnormal level of success, which is why their worldview is centric. Most people, according to Gallup, 70% of Americans hate their jobs. According to Forbes, 90% of startups fail, startup businesses, and 80% of businesses fail. So the vast majority of people aren't happy with their success that they're having in their given sport, their given career, their given anything. And so if you're going to be the kind of person who has tremendous and above average success in any area, it's going to require you to put an irregular and abnormal and uncommon and unconventional, a strange, an extraordinary, a freakish, a bizarre, an outlandish amount of energy into that calling and or task. You have to start to view your job as a calling. The Latin word for vocation, the word vocation comes from the original Latin word, which means a calling that a person is especially drawn toward. And when you meet anybody who's abnormally successful, they feel called to do what they do. They're obsessed with the achievement of success. And that is why people that are measured and people who are focused on balance and people that are focused on being the middle and never offending everybody and never wanting to spend too much time obsessing on any particular thing, they never get great at anything. You think about LeBron James. I mean, I'm sure he's successful in a lot of areas of his life, but the guy is obsessed on dominating the game of basketball. It wasn't like he was playing, at the college level, multiple sports. Now, in high school, he did play a few different sports, but eventually he had to focus in on a particular sport. So I'm asking you today, in what area of your life do you need to be eccentric about? Do you need to obsess about? And so that you can stay happily married or be the kind of person that could get married and stay happily married, you want to set boundaries on it so that way you're maniacally focused on one thing as a result of saying no to a lot of things. You're going to have to say no to a lot of things if you want to become great at anything. You must become an eccentric person. So this is the tough knowledge here, okay? I'm going to read the notable quotable. Clay stares, you're going to break it down. I read the next notable quotable. Chup, you break it down. These are all hard truths that relate to embracing the concept that there is no excuse. People that just aren't willing to be maniacally focused on one thing, people that don't have that white, hot, burning desire for success cannot win. Nature cannot be tricked. You just have to focus your energy and attention and be just obsessed if you want to become successful. So notable quotable number 1 comes into us fresh and hot from Mr. Lee Cockrell. Lee was the former executive vice president of Walt Disney World Resorts. He once managed 40,000 employees, and he said, the number one excuse that I hear people say for not getting things done is that I ran out of time. Clay Stairs, help the listeners out there who are running out of time. Where can we find the time?
Time, you've got to schedule the time. Clay, you will never find the time. People saying that, I just can't find the time, can't find the time. You will never find the time. You have to make the time. If you want to get something done, it's got to be scheduled.
Make the time by saying no.
That's a good one.
Now, according to the New York Post, Nielsen, the average American's watching 5.2 hours of TV per night.
Say no.
According to Psychology Today, the average American is spending 2.3 hours per day on their smartphone.
Say no.
You got to say no to something if you're going to free up that time. That right there could have saved you 7 hours a day.
7 hours a day.
Just by not watching TV and turning off those apps and things on your phone that are constantly interrupting you. Now, Chuck, the next notable quotable comes in hot and fresh from George Washington Carver, a man who could have had a lot of excuses because he grew up with a lot of abuses. He grew up as a slave, didn't know his dad, didn't know his birthday, but he's a self-taught botanist who revolutionized the agricultural industry. He says 99% of the failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses, Chup. Chup, if we're saying, okay, what do I do with this information? If I have the habit of making excuses, if I'm being honest with myself, I have the habit of making excuses. What can we do with this information?
Well, first of all, you've got to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be or want it to be. And one thing to do is start measuring your results so you can refine your plan. So be proactive, measure what you have going on, compare that to what you want it to be getting you to your goals, and refine your plan. Don't just coast and drift through the day and life and just make up excuses, because if you can change the plan, you can fix the problem and you can win.
Now, Benjamin Franklin, the inventor of the flexible catheter.
Whoa.
The Franklin
Which
stove.
we are so
Thank
glad
you.
for the flexible.
Helping refine
Until
electricity.
Then.
True deal. The inventor of the postal system we know today. The guy who secured the financing from the French that we used to beat the English during the war. The guy who invented the flexible catheter, Benjamin Franklin.
Heavens.
What was it before that?
My new favorite man. It was probably an inflexible catheter. Huh?
Wow, I got to Google that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you're going to
Benjamin,
feel a little pressure.
real quick, I was able to. We typically will ask our guests before the show if this is okay, but I embedded a microphone deep inside the cranium of Clay Stairs, and this is what his mind just said when I divulged and explained to him that Benjamin Franklin did, in fact, create the first flexible catheter. This is what his mind just said.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
Okay, all right, so here we go. Benjamin Franklin says, he says, he that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. What does that mean, sir?
On the excuses side, Clay, I was a man of excuses. For years, I was a man of excuses. I was a man that I think that for me, I wrapped it around, well, I'm an idea guy. I'm a visionary. Yeah, I'm a visionary. I'm the big picture. And anytime somebody tried to hold me accountable, I always kind of wrapped that around, well, you're trying to pull me down into the weeds. No, I'm much more of a big thinker guy. And Clay, I found excuses for my excuses.
Oof.
And it eventually, I found, of course, much later in life, as you know, I found the path out of that trap. I found the path out of always finding excuses. And man, the answer to that type of lifestyle and that type of thinking is just accountability. And having somebody in your life that is helping you walk down a path and is holding you accountable to that path.
Ben Horowitz, the best-selling author of The Hard Thing About Hard Things and a man who sold his company for over $1 billion to Hewlett-Packard, writes, in life, everybody faces choices between doing what's popular, easy, and wrong versus doing what's lonely, difficult, and right. These decisions intensify when you run a company because the consequences get magnified 1,000-fold. As in life, the excuses for CEOs making the wrong choice are always plentiful. Chup, why is it so tough to make the right call sometimes?
Well, what you've got to realize is that even if you do make the wrong call, you're going to have failures in life and business. And you have to know that the business and the choices that you make within it, they don't equal or define who you are as a person. So you've just got to understand what your big goal is, your why you're doing this in the first place, getting up every day, trying to grow this business. And then use the goal as your fuel to get back up off the ground when you fall off the horse and then get back on it.
Jack Canfield, best-selling author, writes, one of life's fundamental truths states, ask and you shall receive. As kids, we get used to asking for things. But somehow we lose this ability in adulthood. We come up with all sorts of excuses and reasons to avoid any possibility of criticism or rejection. If you fear rejection out there today, you will lose. If you will just embrace the fact that failure is a prerequisite to success. Failure is on the path to success. Failure is just a stepping stone to your ultimate success. You will do well. Colin Powell chimes in, the first African-American Secretary of State. He writes, the less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to their solution, because those who will never succeed themselves will always first tell you how. Not everyone has the right to speak into your life. Don't follow people that are not going anywhere. Boom, that was knowledge bombs everywhere.
That was fantastic.
So if you're out there today and you're saying, you know what? I want to take my life to the next level. Don't be a stranger. Book your tickets to the Thrivetime Show workshop today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com, click on the conferences button, and bam, you can book your tickets. If you're in kind of a tight budget or you just want to be resourceful and save money, subscribe to the Thrivetime Show on iTunes. Leave us an objective review and email us proof that you did so to info@thrivetimeshow.com. That's a screenshot of your iTunes review. You can email it to us today at info@thrivetimeshow.com. And if you're out there listening and you're saying, I'm getting all excited here, but I need someone to help me with my accounting. Well, I encourage you to put on the brakes, go on over to hoodcpas.com and schedule a free consultation. They're going to give you a free copy of Warren Buffett's only authorized biography, a book called Snowball, and you get a 1-hour free consultation with a CPA that can help you get your taxes and accounting in order. Well, without any further ado, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom!